Hi again, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. And today I want to talk about this watch here, but first I want to talk a little bit about these other watches, and even this one here, which is the oldest one out of all the ones you see right now. This watch is the AE30, and I got this in the early 1990s. In fact, I think I got this around Christmas time of the year 1990. And the reason I wanted this watch was that it had an analog style, but the digital accuracy that I had come to enjoy. So I figured with a true analog watch, it's kind of hard to set the time, hours, minutes, and seconds perfectly accurately. This one would allow me to do that, pretty well, pretty easily, just like I was used to with my digital watches, but still have an analog display. And the thing I liked about this watch is the analog time up here in the top always stayed the same. It was showing the local time even as I clicked through the other modes that you could see down here in the bottom window, including a dual time mode, second time zone, a countdown timer, a stopwatch, had 5 alarms, all of this going on while still having the analog current time there. So I have some other watches today that kind of, build on this legacy from about 35 years ago. And those include these two here, also known as the Casio Royale watches, the AE 1200, which have, time down there. And they do have the analog windows there with the time in analog that's generated by LCD. These are variations of the AE1000, which functionally are almost identical to the Casio Royale, just in a different case. This AE1400 also builds on that with kind of a tougher, I don't know if this is mud resistant. Anyway, it's a more robust case with, again, the same functions. These are variations on the DW291 that you can now get this in even more varieties, but these are the ones that were available initially, and I got all 3 of these. Again, same functions and features, except doesn't have the world map with the time zone there, but they do have this little set of boxes here that appear and disappear in kind of a little bit of an animation to mark the passage of time as those boxes appear and disappear. So that's what this has instead of that world map, and also a very tough, almost like a G-Shock 200-meter water-resistant case. And that brings me around to this one, the newest of all the ones that I'm showing you right here. And let's go ahead and peel this little sticker off, the little screen protector there. This one actually, believe it or not, operates just the same as all these newer ones that I've shown you. The same functions and features. Instead of the world map here, it's got this animation, looks like slices of a pie. But as you press the buttons and go through the different modes on this watch here on the left, actually operates just the same as this one here on the right. So it's kind of like they use the same operating system, the same code, whatever, and put it in this. A very inexpensive, you might say cheap, but it's a lightweight, just a very practical little watch. And this one reminds me the most of this one from 1990 as I look at the two side by side, just with that prominent analog clock there on the upper parts of each of these displays. But let's talk more specifically about this one now that I've given you the background. This is the LF20W, and this is actually available in 5 different colors, although I've only seen this and kind of a white one at my local Walmart stores for this price, $21.92. If you go directly to Casio, it's $29, and so you can buy it from Casio if you want to. As far as this price, $21.92, this is the best price I found around, and it was at the local Walmart store right there in front of me, so I could just grab it and go home and be happy and not have to wait for shipping and tracking and all that stuff. But you could get this from Amazon. There are various listings on Amazon, more than one. Some of them not quite this low, but the lowest one you will find listed on Amazon for this same price, $21.92. For this watch. Now let's go over the functions and features of this watch. I should also note that there's a metal version of this watch. It's not exactly the same screen on there, but very, very similar. And that model is the A130. Now the A130 watch with its metal watch bracelet, and I think the case itself is chrome-plated plastic, but you can get that metal look. And depending on where you shop, actually it looks to me like it's not supposed to be available in the United States. As I look it up on Casio's website in particular, it only shows the watch under the international version of the the Casio website and not the United States version. They do that sometimes. I don't know why, but I did find a United States company called Tilly's that have several stores all over the place, and they will offer the metal version, the A130, in a gold tone or a silver tone, and you can order that from their website. You're going to be looking at prices starting around, I don't know, $70 and up, depending on which model you get. You can find it on eBay, and people might send it to you from international destinations. And so, yeah, you can go with the metal look. I figured I would start off with this resin plastic look and see how I like it before I jump ahead to the metal version. So far, so good. But still, I think $70 and up for this watch with just some metal, metal touches around it, metal trim, if you will. I'm not sure if that's a great value, but I'll keep looking, and maybe I'll get the metal one someday. Now, it feels like a lightweight, inexpensive watch, this band here. I don't know how long that's going to last, if it takes daily abuse, but it does the job for a very low price. It's water resistant, and it doesn't say like 50 bar water resistant. So this is just basic water resistance, meaning that it's okay to wear this while you're doing your everyday stuff. If you sweat a little bit, if it's humid outside, if you wash the dishes while you're still wearing this watch and splash around a little bit, you'll be fine. But you don't want to keep this on if you're going swimming or any extended dunking underwater. Probably the water resistance, you got to be, pick another watch. Like pick one of these watches. If you're going to do swimming with a watch on, you'll be fine there. This one, again, everyday use, it's great, but don't push the limits on water resistance here. Uses a CR1616 battery. It has a module 3551. But again, if you know how to use one of these other watches, even something like this, then you already know everything you need to do to operate this watch. And let's just go through those functions and features. As you see, that wonderful LCD generated analog display right there with hours, minutes, and seconds. That's cool. Down here in this bottom window, you've got also the digital version of the time. And this one up here, this kind of animated pie up on the top right. There are 10 segments there. And so those 10 segments, they will appear and disappear once every second in this mode to kind of show the passage of time there. And then, of course, you have your date there. Now, this will actually show you the 4 different time zones from the main timekeeping mode here. Now, the first one is my home zone. So this is the Denver time zone or mountain time zone. But if I push the search button right here, I quickly go to, it'll show me New York City down here. My home time is still right there, but I've got New York City, New York, London, Paris, Denver, everybody talk about. So yeah, you can choose any of 4 time zones to be a part of that. But of course, your primary time zone is always going to be the one that is prominently displayed there in the analog window. And you can change those. You can select other time zones from around the world. You also have a world time mode, which I've selected London, which is UTC for that. If you want to change that, use this search button down here. And it's as though you're going eastward on the map. There's no westward going back on that, but you can go to these other time zones and select that for world time. Again, your local time is going to stay the same, but if you want it to stay on a specific world time zone all the time, then you use your world time mode to show this here. I'm going to bring it around to UTC and just kind of leave it there. And then one thing you can do with this watch and the other ones that I showed you is if I press the 2 top buttons at the same time and hold them down for just a moment, try that again. Oh, there we go. Okay. And so that what it did right there is it swapped my local time with world time. So now world time is Denver and local time on this is UTC, and it has adjusted the analog window up there to reflect that, but I'm going to change it back because, again, I'm still in the Denver time zone. Okay, there we go. And yeah, so that's world time mode. Next mode is my my alarm. So it's got 5 alarms, and so I can set those right here. Some of them haven't been set yet. And also the hourly signal. So to turn on the hourly signal right there, all I do is touch that. Now hourly signal is on, and there's a little indicator right there on the bottom of this display to show hourly signal is on. It's going to beep every hour on the hour. Now if I go here and I want to change one of these alarms, let's say I'll change this one, And I hold down the adjust button until things start to blink. Okay, and there we go. And I'm going to just say, let's set that to 7 o'clock in the morning. And you'll notice right here, it says 1-on for the alarm setting. And this is something that I kind of appreciate. Sometimes I might use this feature. So what you have is when the alarm is set, it's either on or off, or it's on for one time only. So with it set this way, the alarm's going to go at 7 a.m. one time, and then it won't repeat again the next day, just that one time. And after it does that, it will default back to the off for that alarm. So that might be nice if you've got maybe a varied schedule, maybe every day of the week you wake up at a little bit a different time, or maybe if you have reminders during the day while you're at work. I know some people say the alarms aren't very loud on Casio watches, so you might not want to rely on a Casio watch to wake you up from sleeping, but it might be good for reminders, and you might have different reminders through the day, and maybe some of them you want to go just one time. That's kind of a useful feature for that alarm to be on or off or on just one time. Okay, next mode is your timer mode, countdown timer. When it's set to all zeros like this, it's going to be a true 24-hour countdown timer, hours, minutes, seconds, and tenths of a second. And this little pie up here with the appearing and disappearing segments of the pie, that's going to kind of go the opposite direction counterclockwise because it's counting down. But you can set this, I'm going to stop that and reset it. And when you want to customize the duration of your countdown timer, you have hours, minutes, or seconds. So you can customize that to any duration of countdown you want, any combination of hours, minutes, and seconds from 1 second all the way up to the full 24 hours. The next mode on this is a stopwatch mode, and this is also a 24-hour stopwatch. Now this one has hours, minutes, seconds, and hundredths of a second with your split time right up here. That button that says adjust, give you your split time, and you can stop that. You can use the adjust button also to reset that, and there you go. And then you're back to the home screen on this one. Now, I'll tell you a funny story about this particular watch right here. Sometimes I go into Walmart stores and I see watches and I think they're interesting and I pick them up and I kind of play with them in the store. And so there was a watch one day that I saw and I looked at it and I thought, well, why don't I just play with it a little bit? I decided to go through the settings here and set it to the correct time zone and also the correct time. So you got seconds, daylight saving time on or off there. That's an adjustment you make there. Set the time zone, then you set the hours, minutes, and 24-hour or 12-hour mode. Here you set the date, and then the backlight can be a duration of either 3 seconds or 1.5 seconds. So you have all those adjustments you can make, right? So I took a watch like this and I set it to the right time, the right time zone, the right date, and I was just playing with it, and I put it back on the shelf. And then just a couple days ago, I decided to go back to Walmart and actually buy this watch. And when I picked this one off the shelf there, guess what? This one had already been set to the correct date, the correct time zone, and the correct time. It was off by about 45 seconds. And I thought, this must have been a watch, the exact same watch that I was playing with at a Walmart store, right? That I set this watch weeks ago, and then, I went back and I eventually bought this exact same watch. So that was kind of funny that I had done that. All right, let's get the official weight here on my unofficial kitchen scale, 23 grams. Now, how does that compare to that 1990s watch that I had? That one comes in 26 grams. So those are lightweight compared to the Casio Royale, 39 grams. How about the metal version of the Casio Royale? 86 grams. Now let's try the DW291, 62 grams. How about a carbon fiber G-Shock Square? 45 grams for that one there. How about a normal-ish G-Shock Square? 51 grams. Now a G-Shock Square with a bracelet, 81 grams. And now a metal version of the G-Shock Square, 161 grams. So think about 161 versus just 23 grams for this LF20 watch. Not bad. One other function that I really appreciate on these watches, you can mute the beeps. Now, normally when you go through all the different modes, you'll have a beep every time you press a button, and maybe you don't want that. You want to be a little bit more discreet. So what you do is you hold down the mode button for just a couple seconds extra. And then now you've muted it. And there's a little indication down here at the bottom of the display, little box that shows up that shows you've muted it. So now when I push the button to go through all those different modes, I do not get a beep every time I do that. I will get a beep when a countdown timer finishes, and also when the alarms go off and the hourly signal, they will still beep, but in this mute mode, you just don't get as much beeping, so I like that. Another thing you can do on this watch, and I keep forgetting to mention this, is if I'm in the regular timekeeping screen here, if I hold down this bottom right button for just a couple seconds, then I put it in sort of this display mode where it scrolls through the 4 time zones that I've selected for my main time zones on the timekeeping screen. This analog indicator up here is still going to show my number 1 time zone, but it's going to scroll through and show these other 3 in succession repeatedly when I have it in this display mode. And I can take it off that mode by just pressing any button. But I think this is like, maybe when it comes from the factory, it's sitting on the display shelf, in the store. The display mode is what they want to show you, what it can do. But then in normal operation, that just goes away and you have whatever 1 time zone you've selected to show. The backlight on this watch, again, has a duration of either 1.5 or 3 seconds. I've chosen 3 seconds, and it has that kind of amber glow coming from the corner there, but it actually looks really good to my eye. The camera maybe not doing it justice. The camera makes it look a little more orange, but to my eye, it's more of an amber color, so not quite as richly colored as this one right now. But that's a nice backlight, lights up everything really well, and compare that to like over here, you see, you make up your mind about which backlight might be the best. I know that backlights are not a deal breaker for me at all. So, I just don't rely on using the backlight a lot when I'm using these watches. But this particular backlight I really, really like. So I'll be using this and liking it. So there you go, a fine, modest collection of budget-friendly Casio watches. Maybe not this one. You're going to have a hard time finding one of these anymore. Look on eBay if you're looking for, very old watches. But otherwise, you can probably still find a lot of these for a reasonable price. I know, the economy as it is, you're not going to find super great deals like you might have just a little while ago. But this one here, again, for about $22. And if you shop carefully, you're not going to pay any more than that. Some variety available. Very simple, very nice, lightweight, easy, and does some neat things similar to what all these other guys over here are doing. So anyway, that's my review today of the LF20. I might be tempted to get the other varieties of this eventually, but for now I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this one. And I hope you're enjoying whatever you have in your watch collection. I hope I'm giving you good ideas and helping you. Really, that's what I want to do. Just help you out, answer some questions you might have had. Oh, and hey, as long as I'm here, listen to this. And as far as my plans for the future, there will always be another episode of the Good Timekeeping Show.